Searching this island is my best chance.
What's he up to?
In 2005, during the early years of the Nintendo DS, a developer known as Sing brought a unique adventure to the handheld and did some innovative things with its iconic features. After a sequel launched on Wii in 2009, the series has laid dormant aside from a few references to Nintendo. These titles always stuck out to me as interesting curios in their respective libraries, especially as someone who enjoys a good mystery. Seeing Nintendo work with Arc System Works to bring this duology to the Switch for a new generation with another code, Recollection, was a surprise to me as well as many others. This release remakes both Another Code 2 Memories and its sequel, Another Code R. The treatment these titles have received is pretty staggering. Everything from visuals, music, gameplay, and even portions of the story have been updated, but that questions whether these changes have altered too much and if something important has been lost along the way.
Huh?
Another Code Recollection stars Ashley Robbins, a young teen who, in the first entry, receives a letter from her estranged father days before her 14th birthday. Her father asks her to come to Blood Edward Island to meet him for the first time in 11 years. Along with this letter, Ashley is given a strange device known as the DAS that reacts only to her biometrics and seems to have several unique features built into it. After meeting an amnesiac ghost named Dee in the graveyard, Mizuki must explore the mysterious Edward mansion to discover just why her father called her to the island, as well as uncover the truth behind Dee's lost memories and how they connect to the many tragedies of Edward's lineage. In the sequel, Another Code R, Ashley, who's now 16, visits Lake Juliet to meet her father once again. Her journey into Lake Juliet brings fragments of her memories rushing back as she recalls visiting the lake with her late mother as a child. Along with uncovering her memories, she helps a young boy named Matthew search for his missing father. The vibes of both stories are very distinct, making them engaging for different reasons. Two Memories' abandoned island setting leads to a sense of isolation and can even feel quite eerie as you explore shadowy halls and desolate bedrooms within Edward's mansion. It is also decidedly a little more somber, although not suffocatingly so. The friendly bond between Ashley and Dee brings about some moments of joy, and as the two of them spend time together, it's very heartwarming to see them interact and grow closer. But essentially, the atmosphere is laden with tragedy and regret. Although this doesn't make the story any less enjoyable, it's actually paced pretty well, with each additional step into the mansion revealing further details of the Edward family. Despite them mostly appearing in flashbacks, faded portraits, and letters, I found myself eager to find out just what happened to cause the island to lay abandoned for so many years. Another Code R feels very different from Two Memories, as it feels much more lighthearted and the stakes are considerably lower. That's not to say that there aren't moments of tension, as the mystery surrounding Lake Juliet is an interesting one, but in the same breath, the mood is so relaxed and comfortable. Because of this, the pacing feels a little slower, as the Another Code R takes its time and holds its cards to its chest for much of the runtime. It still teases you along effectively though, and no story beat feels wasted as you learn more about the cast. That said, there are a plethora of side characters in Another Code R that are all likable as well, with the quirky agent John Smith to the wholesome and welcoming Bob Fox. While they don't have all hidden depths, they complete the vibes of Another Code R and are very down to earth to their characterizations. Of course, speaking about characters, we need to talk about Ashley herself, as she's eagerly one of the game's highlights. In both, she can be defined as a melancholic teen, although in Two Memories, she feels a lot more like herself, while in Another Code R, she has a bit more of an attitude now that she has grown a little since the original. There's a good balance between showing her positives and flaws, as while she is good-natured, she often lets her emotions drive her perspectives of others. She's one of the more grounded heroines in Nintendo's history, but she deserves to sit up with the best of them. Overall, I think the narrative and characters of these two titles, despite being so distinct, complement each other very well. They lack a little in their emotional highs and lows, but makes up for it and still manages to engage the player with a large sense of atmospheric characters. By the time the story wraps itself up, I couldn't help but feel sad when it was all over. Mainly focusing on talking to NPCs, exploration, and puzzle solving, Another Code Recollection's gameplay is as sedate as its story. In comparison, the styles differed slightly between the initial releases, as now they are primarily put together to feel like a cohesive whole. There's not much of an opportunity here to stray from the beaten path, but Another Code R does feel more open, with more space to run around. Even then, both feel pretty linear and more interested in sharing new story beats with you than anything else. That said, origami cranes can be found hidden away. Scanning each one with the DAS photo mode unlocks a journal entry from Ashley's father for you to read, adding a flavor to the already rich story. I had a lot of fun looking around for these as it encouraged me to spend a little more time in each new location and take in the sights. There's a bit of an imbalance here though, as 2 Memories, despite being the shorter release, has many more of these cranes to find with 14 in total, while another R only has 9. In the context of the game, it makes sense since the cranes can only be found in places that Ashley's dad has visited before, so it wouldn't make sense for them to be anywhere else, but I can't help but wish that they had given the player more to seek out. Also, certain cranes are completely missable if you don't spot them on your first playthrough, and there is no way to go back and pick them up, even after completing them. Similarly to the cranes, while there are a decent amount of puzzles, I often wanted a few more. None of them are incredibly challenging, although they aren't insultingly easy. I still enjoyed working them out though. Many have creative but realistic solutions. There aren't any giant leaps of logic that are so common with mystery titles, just well-constructed brain teasers. It also uses the gyro functionality of the Switch for a few of these puzzles, and the controls for these work well, although I found it a little easier to do the puzzles in handheld mode instead. I do think this game is perfect for handheld mode play, as it's just so comfortable and cozy. Switching between the two while playing on the big screen was still enjoyable. Treating it like a good mystery novel felt so much more natural though. It's the sort of game you can just get lost in for hours, and it feels like it's intended to be played the way it was intended to be played. The visuals may divide some players who choose to play, and similarly, I find myself split on them. The character models are very high quality, although there's a big difference between how Ashley's facial expressions are animated versus theirs. The others are pretty basic, but the upgraded designs helped make her a lovable protagonist. Many character designs have been remade, and to me, just about all of them have huge improvements. However, the outside environments aren't very visually impressive, and it's easy to spot a lot of low poly models and blurry textures. This can be a bit distracting when you notice them, but they also lend something of a painterly feel to the areas. Regardless though, it does feel like less work was done on these areas of the game, and it can't be denied that it's a bit disappointing. Indoor locations are a little better off, especially within Edward Mansion in 2 Memories. Care and attention have gone into making some of the vintage doors look really nice, but this is still at odds with other portions. While the visuals themselves are a mixed bag, one place this collection delivers is the music. The style of music here perfectly complements the cozy gameplay, offering a synth and ambient feel to the proceedings. Slower, more melancholic tones suit 2 Memories well, and the lighthearted beats of Another Code R fit the tone. Not many tracks stand out, there's just an overall high standard here. It's the sort of soundtrack that would be great to listen to outside of the game itself. As a remake, much of Another Code Recollection differs from the original DS and Wii releases to the point that some of the puzzles have been changed or removed entirely, meaning certain iconic moments are completely absent. Story elements have also been tweaked, although the core plot remains unchanged. It's tough to say whether this is a total improvement, as I believe the versions were just so different that they stand apart and are both worthy, but fans of the original will either love or hate the changes here. But as someone less familiar with the series, I enjoyed the experience and discovering these games from a fresh perspective. Another Code Recollection offers a solid story bolstered by some beautiful atmosphere and characters that are enjoyable to hang out with. I certainly wish there had been more puzzles and the visuals could have been more polished, but what's here is a pleasant experience from end to end. I can only hope that Nintendo continues this trend of unearthing some of the lesser known adventures from its back catalog. Until then, Another Code Recollection will be a pleasant memory to hold on to as we enter a new year for the Nintendo Switch. Noisy Pixel is giving Another Code Recollection a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.